You're listening to the Health Powered Productivity Podcast by RaderCo. I'm Marcey Rader, founder and chief productivity lead. This podcast's mission is to give you and your team bite-sized, time-saving, focus-boosting, health-improving tips that you can implement right away. Now, on with the show. Giving back is a core value for me, my family, and RaderCo. One of the things I look for when engaging with the company is if they support a nonprofit or mission, unless they are the mission, like my clients, Blood Centers of America and the Oklahoma Blood Institute. In 2015, a couple of years after I started RaderCo, I hired my first offshore virtual assistant, Rhea Donato, through a headhunting service called Virtual Staff Finders. Rhea has been with me as a full-time employee since then until last year when she took her dream job, for now at least, with Divi. And now she works for me as a contractor. But hiring Rhea allowed me to learn more about the Philippines and its culture, and I realized I could do so much more for her family with my money than I could do for anyone here. Over the years, I've helped pay for items they needed, such as an aunt's medical treatment. A very generous friend and I even helped rebuild her house, which gave her a bedroom and office space and allowed her mom to open up a convenience store from their home. I've also hired from iWorker. They are a virtual professional company that specializes in countries in crisis. And I've had team members from Venezuela and Kenya. Our RaderCo GivesBack every quarter is to Kiva. Kiva is a micro-lending organization where 100% of your loan supports borrowers in economically, politically, or socially impoverished countries. And most of these people don't have access to business loans as we do in the US. And this is how they can build their own businesses and provide for their families. What's so cool is that as borrowers pay the loan back, we get to turn around and donate the money again to someone new. I received a $100 gift card to Kiva years ago for referring someone to my former business coach, Vanya Clark Butler. And that started a tradition at RaderCo that has grown every year. I used the Kiva lending as a teaching method with Rhea. Every quarter, we would pull up women in the Philippines and determine who we wanted to give money to based on their years in business and the likelihood of repayment. And we often chose single mothers since her father died when she was 11 and, her mom raised her family by herself, or who had little convenience stores like her mom. But we always would lend money for someone if they needed a toilet, because dignity. So it was, first we would see, is there somebody that's asking for a loan to put a toilet in their house? Then that was like, we didn't even look anywhere else. But for the others, it was always like looking at their business. We've also helped women in Mexico with dental surgery because I have some ties to Mexico. I went there for 6 years for 3 weeks every year. And then most recently, we've chosen women in Ghana, where I vacationed this year, and now the Rader Rodenbaugh household is supporting a couple of organizations there. Doing this every quarter keeps it top of mind for us to support this cause. And you can keep using that money, even if you only fund it once. But I have added it to every anniversary gift, and I've matched it with some bonuses, and it's fun to find a new person to help. RaderCo also has a budget each year for donating to client causes. We've recently contributed to Team in Training and Girls on the Run for a couple of our clients, and a few years ago, we wrote a check to a local theater that was supported by our client TEDx. One of RaderCo's top clients, Blueprint Medicines, has regular community service days where they volunteer for organizations as a team. And Raleigh Founded, which is my beloved co-working community, they recently got involved with the Great Raleigh Cleanup, which is a public group for people who want to keep Raleigh from looking like a dumpster overturned on the city. It doesn't matter how small your company is. You can make a difference by starting with even just $100, as we did. You can set aside $100 and donate, $25 to the first 4 people that request it. Maybe you have clients I have clients all the time that reach out and say, I'm doing this for team and training, or I'm running this race, and I do like the first 4 and that's it for the year, or it has to meet certain criteria. You could also take a percentage of each contract and contribute to a mission your client supports. That's what I did with Tevitt. I went on their website. I saw that they had, I think it was 3 different organizations that they supported, and I chose to write a check to their theater. You could take a percentage of your net profits from every contract and donate it to your own mission. Alternatively, if you give things like referral cash or referral bonuses, you can give a gift card like my coach Vanya instead of just cash. It is a lasting impact that lives much longer than a gift card for coffee. Or donate your time as a team, or compensate team members for donating their time to a cause that's important to them for a certain number of hours per year. I know companies that will allow like 8 hours a year up to, I know one company that does 40 hours per year. And then from a personal standpoint, I do have to tell you what the Rader Rodenbaughs support, because it's so important to me. And also because it's, we are sustainers, and because everything about this podcast is centered around productivity. Being a sustainer makes it easy because we don't have to think about it. It's already budgeted. And if we had to write that check every month, it would be too easy to say, oh, this month is lean, or we're saving to get new siding, so let's just skip this month. So we are sustainers. And we are sustainers for National Public Radio and the Fistula Foundation. What is Fistula? Here's my soapbox. Here's your education moment. We don't have them here, but in less developed parts of the world, or where girls, because they certainly aren't women, when they're 12 and 13, have babies, they are a common occurrence. Fistula is a hole between the bladder and rectum, and it causes incontinence of urine and stool. And these poor women are shunned by their community and can't work because of the constant smell. And much worse, their baby has often died due to long labor or a C-section that they don't have access to. And so, it's just a perfect storm of awful. And some women live in fistula huts for, one story was 40 plus years this woman had lived in a fistula hut. And since my first job out of college, I've supported the Fistula Foundation. First, I paid for transportation, and then eventually I made enough money to pay for 1 surgery a month. And it almost feels selfish, the joy and satisfaction I get by saving one woman's dignity every month for the last decade. Even when I quit my job and made very little money and started RaderCo, which was called something else at the time, I had put back money in my freedom fund to make sure that fistula donation wouldn't be touched. It's easy to contribute by being a sustainer for an organization, even starting with as little as $10. If you don't trust yourself to write a check monthly, just set it and forget it. Or if you're volunteering your time, sign up for a year in advance or as a recurring event. I would love to hear what organizations you or your company supports and how you do it. So reach out to me at helloraderco.com. Thank you for listening to the RaderCo Health Powered Productivity Podcast. Resources mentioned are linked in the show notes. We encourage you to check out our recommendations page on helloraderco.com/recommendations, where we list all of our favorite products and services. If you found this podcast valuable, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone you know that could benefit. Many of our listeners use our podcast as discussion points for team meetings. If you want tailored team training or coaching, reach us at helloraderco.com.